Welcome to the Social Chameleon Show, where it's our goal to help you learn, grow, and transform into the person you want to become. Today, I'm talking with my friend Tamerus Augenstein. Tamerus has a past filled with mistakes and has now transformed his life and discovered his life's purpose. His passion for fitness led him through various physical pursuits, from hockey, weightlifting, to parkour, ninja warrior style training, calisthenics, pole dancing, and acrobatics, which is how I know him doing acro yoga and whatnot. However, after a difficult breakup, he hit rock bottom, allowing his business to tank and resorting to a career as a male stripper, which has gone against his character. This led to a downward spiral of shame, substance abuse, and even homelessness. During this challenging time, Tamerus found God and sought guidance from coaches and mentors who helped him turn his life around. He successfully overcame depression, anxiety, and destructive habits, replacing them with constructive ones. He now prioritizes his life's purpose over temporary pleasures and is on a constant journey to become the best version of himself. Tamerus' story, one of resilience and personal growth, and he hopes to inspire and support others in their battles, encouraging them to become the best version of themselves. He said, Tamerus is a friend of mine. On October 16th, I noticed he posted, 2023, that he posted a remark that he had just completed a 1-year transformation. I really didn't realize it, that he had gone through that, and I really wanted to share his story, which is why I wanted to come on the show, share that journey. I want to hopefully inspire you folks. He goes through a bunch of stories. He's very vulnerable with a lot of his stories in here. And it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Marcus Aurelius: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way," also known as "the obstacle is the way." Ryan Holiday coined that term. He talks about a lot. He's very vulnerable. He goes through his different things. It just goes to show, no matter where you are, no matter what road or path you've gone down, at any moment you can switch and flop and change it up and start to become the person you know you can be, the person you're meant to be, the person you want to be. And without further ado, let's talk to Tamerus. Tamerus, welcome to the Social Chameleon Show. I've really been excited to get you on. I know we're friends and stuff. We know each other in real life. Maybe it's a little different than my normal podcast. I do usually it's people I don't know, whatnot, or whatever.
Okay.
But knowing you for the years now, and then suddenly kind of seeing your posts on social media, super vulnerable, really intriguing, and seeing your transformation, wanted me to get you on here. I wanted you to share that. I wanted you to talk about that. Like I said, it's like we're friends, but it was interesting when I was thinking about this and I was preparing. I was like, I knew of you for like a long time, but I never really saw you or knew you. You know, we'd go over to Shane's house, we'd go over to your place, and I never really, I know Tamerus, I know I've met him. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, you just started popping up, you know, here and there. You started, you know, training and coaching at the Arizona Circus Center. You started taking class. You know, what happened? Why didn't I feel like I ever saw you? But then all of a sudden now, like you're all over and you're kind of you're taking classes, you're teaching and stuff like that now. Did something change? Am I missing something there?
Oh, no. So I was like kind of around, right? So
yeah.
Fitness is my passion, right? And I pursue it through movement. So I've always been in different types of movement. And so acro I dabbled in when I was in California. I'm from California, so quick little background, but I grew up in California. I came out here in like 2015, and then I tried to move back to California in 2020 actually. And then three months later, COVID happened and completely messed up my plans out there. But anyway, while I was at that time, I started getting into acro yoga, right? So dabbling in Santa Monica, I had a consistent partner. But then I came back here and, you know, I was dabbling in the, I guess the sport, right? And finding partners. And then, so I heard about, you know, it was Vertical Fix at the time, and I started going over there, and that's where I met Shane actually. So I met Shane at Vertical Fix, and we ended up becoming roommates after that, right? So that's why I was like kind of around. I wasn't like fully into the acro community yet, but we probably saw each other here and there because I was like still stepping in the door and stepping back out, right? And then I've been working with Thomas actually, training him. And then he wanted me to get over at the Arizona Circus Center to start being a coach. And finally, like, you know, we just connected with Brent and Alicia, and then they got me over there coaching. And then right around that time, I was like, all right, I'm going to dive into this acro thing. So I started taking classes there and everything. I had a consistent hand-to-hand partner right away. That's probably why we started seeing each other more, was hand-to-hand class. And meeting at the studio coaching 3 times a week. So, and then, you know, hand-to-hands right after one of my classes. So we probably see each other in passing too. So, and then I committed to Saturdays also. So that's why all of a sudden you started seeing me a lot more.
So I was wondering, did it also have something to do with your transformation and the things you kind of went through into becoming the new Tamerus we know now?
Acro. Well, okay. So I usually dive into a sport or a movement, and then I do it for a while until I don't want to say I get bored or like distracted with another one, but I kind of like become satisfied with, where I'm at, or like a life transition happens to where I'm not able to dive into that certain, like for example, I was big into parkour and free running for a while, right? And I loved it. But then I moved to Arizona, and that wasn't a consistent place for me to train out here. So, but I found Ninja Warrior training, so I got into that, right? So, I had kind of like moved on from pole dancing at the time, right? So, and that goes into, why I got into pole dancing. I was like kind of getting over why I was still doing that in a sense, and we can dive into that later. But then acro was like my new, I guess, venture to go into. I love doing things with other people, right? Movement wise, specifically women, right? My goal is to find my wife, my future wifey, and just do all the awesome acro or sport or like movement based related things with her, and just travel the world doing awesome things in awesome places, right? So in acro, I see couples do that. I'm like, that is what I want.
Yeah.
So that's why I really dove into it.
And for those on the podcast listening and watching and don't know what acro is, I will link to some stuff in the show notes. It's really fun, and if you haven't tried it, I really recommend trying it.
100%.
I was introduced to. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Tim Ferriss?
The name sounds familiar.
He wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, the 4-Hour Body, and whatnot. Right. So I want to say maybe 7-8 years ago, he just wouldn't shut up about this. I mean, he was on like I don't know if it's Jimmy Kimmel or something like that, and he was doing acro on there, and I was like, okay, what is this guy talking about? What is this going on? And I was like, okay, I gotta try this. Like, he won't shut up about this. I gotta go try this. And I found a place here in Arizona, and it is so much fun. It's not something you typically would think, especially I want to say something like people like us that played sports and stuff like that, more traditional sports. I played football and I wrestled and played basketball, stuff like that. You did hockey and stuff like that. It's not something guys like us, I want to say, in a way, wouldn't do something like that. But man, it's really fun. And I guess one of the biggest things for me with acro was I don't like touching people. I don't like hugging people. I don't like shaking. I don't like any of that stuff. And with acro, I mean, you got to do this stuff. And so a kind of unintended consequence of doing acro was I really got over whatever that was in my life. The reason I don't like that, I really got over it. I don't even care anymore. It's like so interesting how that happened. I had a shoulder problem I was dealing with for years. I dislocated my shoulders very severely playing football, and I never really kind of got over it. And acro really took care of it. It's gone. I have no more problems with my shoulder. So I really encourage people out there, if you've heard of it or if you've never really dabbled in it, like I said, I'll link to some stuff. Go find a place around you. A lot of times they have park jams and stuff like that. I think it's really a game changer, and it'll open up avenues in your life you never really expected. 100%.
I agree. Yep.
So another thing that's interesting knowing you is you're very vulnerable on social media. And I mean that in a good way. Cool. You share stuff that, especially on social media, everybody's life is curated and it's the best picture. Your family looks perfect. You have the perfect job. Everybody's got a fucking private jet and a Lamborghini, And but your vulnerability is all the shit that happened. And now you're in a new place. And that's kind of, like I said earlier, and I talk about in the interlude to the episode is, all of a sudden I realized you posted something and this, 1 year ago I was this, and I was like, whoa, wait a second, know? So, but if you look back at all your posts and stuff, you're so vulnerable, like all the things. And it's funny, one of my favorite videos you did was a year ago you, and then nowadays you. And I didn't realize, like you say in the video, how much of a bitch you were. And it's like weird. You can see that your body language, and I don't remember you being like that. You were very down. And it's like your first post and stuff like that, or whatever. Why are you vulnerable? What makes you do that? And really put yourself out there in a good way, but talking about bad things and how you overcame them.
Right. I went through some dark times, and we can get into that later. But why I'm so vulnerable is, the journey I went through. So I got a coach, right? And my coach, he helped me go through the process I'm going through. He helped me develop my program, the system that I run every day. It's something I just don't miss on. I prioritize in my life because it helped me have the massive changes that I needed in my life, right? But he helped me also find my purpose. And he told me our purpose in life is to create the man that we admire, or women, for women listening, right? Create the man or women that we admire in all ways. And then once you become that person, give it to the world, right? And as you're becoming that person, everyone has problems. Everyone's going through things, right? And I was going through some crazy stuff that I did to myself, right? Hindsight knowing that. But overcoming these challenges, you find that the root of most people's problems, it's all the same, right? It's our habits, right? It's our choices in life, right? So the end result problem may not be the same, but the cause of it is typically the same. So if I'm going through these challenges and overcoming them, I got to share my journey, because something I've been through might help someone with something that they're going through, right? So that's the goal. It's when I was in the middle of my darkest times, it was the most horrible thing for me, right? But now coming out of that, well along the path to becoming the man that I'm meant to be, I want to make those times worth it, right? So if I can share my journey in a way where I'm saving at least just one person from what they're going through, to me, it makes everything I went through worth it, right? So that's why I'm so vulnerable about things, because I got to show people, hey, this is where I was. This is what I'm doing now to get through where I was, right? This is what I'm doing to overcome these challenges and everything and so forth. So again, if they can pull a nugget from one thing that I say, boom, let's go. That makes me happy. So that's why I'm so vulnerable.
Yes. And then my favorite catchphrase you have is "let's go get it." Like, if that doesn't fire you up, if that doesn't get people going, man, I love when you say that. I love when you say that in person. I love when you say that in your videos. Like I said, please continue doing them. Please continue being vulnerable. I just love seeing when people can be honest, especially on social media, especially on that. Please keep going. I'm sure you're helping people. I'm sure you're changing people's lives. You're changing people's perspective. I learned a new side about you that I never knew, and I like this. Cool. And it's really great to see, and I just love it.
Awesome. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah. Very cool.
So, I mean, we keep kind of dancing around this a little bit. So you went through a tough time. So I know you wrote with me and talked about things. If we can get into what happened, you said it was a breakup, but I wonder. And I don't know anything here, so I'm just wondering as I'm reading things and I'm looking into stuff about you, preparing for this. You said it was a breakup, but I wonder, was there something else going on in your life that the breakup made you tip over, or was it completely the breakup that really brought you down to this dark place?
So the breakup was just part of it, right? It was kind of like caused a direction me to go like down the wrong path, right? Yeah. What was the main cause was the man I was, right? I was a poor excuse for a man. I caused the breakup. I had a great girlfriend. She was a wonderful girlfriend. But me, who I was at that time, I put so much strain on the relationship because I was so needy, dude. I had these vices and just habits and like I needed stuff to be who I thought I needed to be, right? I needed something to be happy, right? I needed something to be, fulfilled. Or I thought I needed that, right? When it turns out reality, I didn't need that stuff. So part of my program was eliminating these needs and stuff I learned over time. But anyway, that caused me to make stupid decisions in the relationship. I thought we just weren't right for each other, but not. Can I cuss on here? I was being a little.
You do say what you want, man.
100%. Good. So moral of the story is I was a bitch and I needed to overcome that, right? So because I was a bitch, I caused the breakup, right? We split up and I ended up, when we were together, I was working a network marketing business, right? And I was doing okay. I was making money, right? I was personal training. Just my life was good, like financially. That was totally fine, right? But when we broke up, we lived in Peoria together. Then I moved to Chandler, which is like 50 miles away, right? My business was in Peoria, right? And just who I was not a business owner mentally. I owned a business, but I was no way able to maintain a business. So my business tanked. I was all emo because I missed my girl, right? Because I was weak-minded and couldn't get over my stuff, right? So everything just started to decline and go downhill for me. And it was all my own fault, right? In hindsight, knowing this, but I didn't see it coming. Right. So I went from doing okay financially. I got super behind on everything. All my bills, I started getting into debt. I didn't pick up work on this side of town. And then got to the point where like, man, I was really struggling to make ends meet. I started losing things. I lost my place that I was living in and I had my car, right? And it got to the point where like, I went so downhill that I was living in my car. Like my finances were so bad. And then I had to make ends meet. So I'm like, all right, we got to make some money here. And I got to the point where like, I was like, okay, Craigslist. I remember back in the day, Craigslist, you can go on there and look for like gigs or like, I was a laborer. I did construction in California in my early 20s. So I'm like, I'm going to try to find some construction gigs or something, just something to make money. Right. Yeah. So I'm online looking at this and then I see an ad for a strip club and I'm like, well, shit, I wasn't looking for that, but it's hindsight funny. I was a stripper for Halloween for like 4 to 5 years, like 18 to, around that age. I thought it was funny. So I'm like, let's try this out. I always want to be a Chippendale. And I went that route to make some money. And I made money, but dude, that environment was so toxic, so horrible. And like hindsight, you're looking back at it, it's just evil entities there that just kind of tore me down the wrong path, right? So I just continued to spiral and spiral and spiral downhill. So I was living in my car, and as a man, taking my clothes off to make money, dude. It's like, man, it was so just degrading, right? And you don't realize it at first because you're kind of making money, but like that's just like bad money, right? So every time I get ahead, something in life would happen, and the money was gone like that. It's just hindsight. I realized all that, right? So anyway, that's like kind of my story to rock bottom. And I forgot your initial question. I just kind of went off on a rant there.
No, I love it. It's great. And that's what I love about, these kind of serendipitous conversations. I guess my question really was, and I think you kind of answered it in a way. It was, so you had the breakup, but before then you're not the man you should have been, or you could have been. You were being a bitch. You were needy and all these things. And then the breakup was a catalyst that let you down into thinking like stripping was okay. And all the other things. What other things kind of happened from that, as much as you are willing to share? Yeah,
totally. I mean, that environment, you're in a strip club, right? So there's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. It's nuts, right? So, and so we talk so much about it, right? Just all these evil, just bad influences there, broken people, right? Everyone there has problems and vices, right? And like, it's just like a crazy place to be in, and you don't realize it at the time because it's fun and exciting at first, right? Especially when some bachorette parties come in, a ton of women giving me all sorts of attention and paying me just to be me, like my sexy self, like that was cool, right? But then it gets to a point where like you realize that the people that come, and this is something I realized when I was out of that environment, I realized how much problems I have, right? And it's weaknesses that I have. But one big problem I always dealt with was lust, right? And these people, lust, right? True fulfillment. These people are coming there for a reason, and it's to fill a void that's missing in their life, right? Well, I come in and I play this part where I'm feeding off their problems in order to make money. And I didn't know I'm doing this at the time, but it clicked for me one day. I'm like, man, that really just ate at my soul to know that I'm hoping these people have a problem with something like lust or like true fulfillment or something. And here I come, I'm going to take your money because you're going to pay me for this sorts of fulfillment that you're looking for. Once that clicked for me, like, oh gosh, that hurt. Like it hurt my soul even more. But over time, dude, I started saying this, man, like that type of work and like that environment, it just eats at your soul over time. So it's pretty bad. And then knowing so, I got to go in there and make it okay for me somehow, right? Because I'm playing this part. So here comes alcohol, here comes the drugs, right? It takes my mind, and all of a sudden, like, it's wild, bro. Like they talk about like possession, right? When you're under the influence, you just open up yourself to like it felt like literal possession because I wasn't myself. My stripper name was Dominic, right? So here's Dominic, this other character who gets the job done, who makes money, is just sexy as fuck, right? He goes in and like that's who I am. I felt like I was possessed by this other character that I was playing over time, and then that's another thing that eats at your soul because now I'm playing Dominic, who does what he has to do to get it done. But at the end of the day, I'm still Tamerus. So Tamerus carries all the shame, all the regret, all the worry, all the fear, and all the bad negative side effects that comes from that, right? So, that's some of the stuff that happens there. So
it was interesting as you're talking about that. In my mind, what I'm thinking about is you're using Dominic to disassociate yourself from this shitty feeling you have. Plus, you're like you said earlier, you're needy. So these women and the situation is fulfilling some of those needs, I would imagine.
Yeah, totally.
And then the drugs and alcohol help you continue to disassociate yourself. I mean, I'm sure your self-talk was something like, this isn't really me. I'm just doing this for money. It's a temporary thing. This isn't Tamerus. This is Dominic doing this stuff and all these things. I mean, I'm sure that really fucked with you.
Yeah, because, in the moment when I'm working there, that's exactly what I was saying to myself. This isn't Tamerus. I'm Dominic now, right? Yeah. And then you start doing stuff that's way out of your character. It's like way out of your moral standards, right? You're literally creating a different person that you're not, right? But again, like I said, at the end of the day, I still am Tamerus, right? So then when I'm sober and hungover, right, and the next day I'm freaking depressed of how I acted the night before, like the things that were going down. Nothing like super like horrible happened, but just like it's out of my moral standard, man. Like as a man, the stuff I was doing there, I feel I should not be doing. You know, as Tamerus, who I am, 100%, right, should not be acting that way as the man that I'm meant to be. So, and that just, you know, that really got to me over time.
Yeah, I bet you're giving into every vice, every need, every pleasurable thing. I mean, I can't imagine, you know, oh, look here comes a firefighter, here comes a police officer, and you're fulfilling all these wishes and dreams and hopes and needs of all the people, like you're saying, in the audience, that they're probably broken, or they're missing something in their relationship, or they're trying to escape from something, and you're providing this escape. But then, but the sacrifice of that is you and your moral character and who you are. And I'm sure at some point, I don't know how far you got down there, but maybe these two people started to merge a little bit. And I don't know if that's when you kind of said, wait a second, hold on, these two people are kind of starting to intersect a little bit or not.
Yeah, that did happen, because Dominic didn't see at the club sometimes, right? And then there's times where I'd be out and about, and like, you know, I partied too at that time too. So I'm like in Old Town Scottsdale, getting to that level of drunk that I was at the strip club. And all of a sudden Dominic's out in real life, acting like a fool, like gosh, picking girls up, licking legs in the club. Oh my gosh, dude, like,
man.
So thank you, right? And so,
but it's great in a way that you were able to recognize it, because it would have been so easy to just stay there. Like, listen, you know what? This is fun. I'm sure you could get a sugar mama or something. I mean, you could have probably had a good time and just been, you know, fuck it. This is life. This is my path or whatever. But you're able to get out of it. And that's admirable. You know, it's fun. It's great now we can look back on it and you can laugh a bit about it, and you can share that journey.
Yeah, totally. I'm so glad there were so many turning points where I could have just gone down that path and like been way worse than I was, right? Could have always been like, oh my gosh, yeah. I still did have my limits overall, right? So I didn't completely let go, but had I gotten to that point where I completely let go, oh my God, it's scary to think about where my life would be. So I'm definitely thankful that I did have that moment where I'm like, yo, let's stop this and turn the other direction, right? So definitely thankful for that.
What was that rock bottom moment for you?
Yeah, so okay, I remember a crazy turning point that I had. And my money like disappeared so quick. So I was spending so much money on food, right? I was living in my car. I had no like way to meal prep or like be smart. And I was living in my car for me. I was bad with money to begin with, right? So that was a problem I never attacked initially. And that's what caused me to get there in the first place. So no matter how much money that came in, it was gone because I didn't know how to spend it properly, right? But I remember one point where I was struggling so bad, and like I had to make my car payment and everything. And then I finally got over this little hump, right? And I got some extra money. Like to me, extra money was like a couple $100. I'm like, yes, I got like $200. I'm like, good. I can buy food. There were nights, dude, where I had to decide, like, am I going to buy gas or am I going to buy food tonight? Right. And I needed gas to go make money. Right. So there were nights where I had sleep for dinner. You know what I mean? So that's how it was. But this one specific night, and I was working at EOS at the time too. So I would park in the gym parking lot because it's 24-hour gym. No one bothers me. Right. And I'd use the restroom there and shower and stuff there and everything too. So, but one night I'd been stripping all night and like finally got ahead a little bit. And like, I get to my parking spot. I'm in the back of my car. You know, I'm always beating myself up, you know, once I'm like sobering up and like coming to and just reflecting on my life and everything. Dude, I'm well into my 30s at this point. Like, dude, I should not be here at this point. Anyway, I had to go to the bathroom. I had this little pee bucket, right? So it's like a protein container, right? So I go to the bathroom and I get out of my car. I'm in my PJs and it's cold in Arizona, which doesn't happen too often, right? And so I'm in my PJ pants and that's it, barefoot. I go to pour my pee out in the planter. Like, embarrassing stuff, right? I don't care. I'm sharing my story. As I'm pouring it out, I hear my car door just click. I'm like, no, dude, locked myself out of my car. Right. I'm out there in the cold in my PJ pants. I had to go into my work like this, right? And I talked to the dude that was working the night shift. I was like, hey man, can I use the phone? I locked my keys in the car. And so I had to call a locksmith, right? Locksmith comes out. I give him the money I had just gotten up on, right? And that moment, I get back in the car after everything. I'm broke again. I'm like, gosh, every time I get ahead, something happens. And I had this turning point, dude. At that point, I was contemplating my existence in this life, right? I was like, man, this is it. Like, I should just end it. Like, this is never gonna change. And then God, I hear his voice and he says, shut your bitch ass up. Come on, dude, you can afford this. Yeah, right? So I took it, and that was a turning point. I remember that. Like that at that point, I was like, all right, I don't know what to do, but I'm giving it to you, God. I'm just gonna stop trying to do it my way. I'm going to just start listening to you. And, you know, my journey with God since then has been life-changing. That's what got me going, you know, and I notice the more I get with him and the more I understand him and his purpose for me, the more my life blessings just start to flow to me. So that was like the tipping point where I started to go in his direction and just give my life to him and be like, all right, whatever you say, dude, I'm going to listen. You know, I don't know what to do with my life. So might as well give it to someone who does. Right. So, but that was a major turning point for me.
What do you think of that? You know, that's kind of a common story when we seem to give ourselves up to a higher power. Do you have a thought on why that seems to be?
I do. Yeah. Because God, the universe, whatever you believe in, everyone has different beliefs, but no matter what, it all comes down to like a similar power. And that power loves us. It wants the best for us. And it has a greater plan for us if we would just give ourselves up to it and be open to the plan it has for us. The universe is made out of love. God's made out of love. Everything is love, right? So when you stop trying, we always think we know what we want. We always think we know what's best for us, right? So we're doing this, but there's sin in the world, right? There's sin in our hearts, right? And we give into that, right? And then over time, what happens is when you fall in that direction, you start to realize that, you know, we don't really know what's best for us. We don't really know what we want for us. But when you give yourself up to that higher power who does know what's best for you because it loves us, that's when we start going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I really like that. And then I think it kind of goes back to like what you said earlier, you know, with needs. I feel like somehow that it's kind of an American thing that we maybe even export a lot of it, where we seem to need all these things and we want all these things. But true, I think, enlightenment, true, you know, peace and true freedom and true power is not needing all these things.
100%. Yeah.
Not needing all that stuff. And I wonder if that's where that comes from.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because when you give up, on that path, you know, you give up your needs and all you need is whatever your belief is, like the higher power that you believe in. If you put all your needs into him or give up all your needs to him or the universe, whatever, right? That's when they start being fulfilled. I am so at peace now. When I thought I needed so much stuff to be happy, when I thought I needed things to like make my life the way it should be at this age, whatever, it was like worry, it was doubt, it was fear, it was scarcity, right? Scarcity. But once I gave it up, I don't need shit. As long as I wake up in the morning, I stick to my program, I'm good to go. I don't need anything from anyone else. I am so in love with myself and who I'm becoming. I'm awesome. Like I'm fine. I'm good. Whatever happens throughout the day, I'm sticking to my wake up time. I'm sticking to my workout. I'm sticking to my macros, and I'm sticking to my character. As long as I do that throughout the day, I'm good to go. Like it's a good day. I don't need anything from anyone else. And that's where the peace and the fulfillment started to set in, right? So I don't need the Lambo. I don't need the house. I don't need like the badass chick, right? And that's all stuff I thought I needed. And that left me so ungrateful for how much I did have in life, right? But once I gave all that up, I'm grateful for it. When you're living in your car, stripping to make money, anything outside of that, you're just grateful for, right? So the more needs that I eliminated, the more I realized how grateful I am for the blessings that are flowing to me.
That's good. Hey, listen, I lived in my car too once upon a time. When I was in my 20s, I did some dumb shit. I made some dumb decisions too. I feel you. I can relate. I mean, when you're you're pulling over somewhere and you're like, guess I'm sleeping here tonight. Crack the windows a little bit, lock the doors, and just you know, lean your seat back. I mean,
yeah, you get it, man.
I get it. I really get it. And it's funny. It's just something about when you realize you don't need this shit. You don't need to impress the people. You don't need to make your mom or your dad or whoever it is happy. You don't need to impress these people. There is something so freeing about that. I mean, even 100%. Something maybe 5 or so years ago, food. You know, we think in this country, especially, where we're so fucking privileged, and a lot of us don't even realize it, how just for sheer luck, nothing to do with you. You were born in America. We have an abundance of food, but the attachment we have to something like that. And this is, I think, an easy one for a lot of people because we all kind of have that. I mean, yes, there are some of us that don't have food, but it's abundant everywhere. But when you can just dissociate yourself from that need, when you're like, I don't need lunch. I remember, you know, driving to meet a client or going to a meeting, like, oh shit, it's 1:30. I'm gonna die. I gotta pull in the Jack in the Box real quick. I've got to stuff a burger in my fucking face. When you can disassociate yourself from that, man, there is some power in that. You know what I mean? I go sometimes, you know, I'll be like, oh shit, what time? It's 6 o'clock. I didn't even eat today. I was like, what the fuck? You know, but you can dissociate yourself from that. And that to me is like a stepping stone. Like, you know, to these other little things that we think we need, that we think we have to have. You know, there is so much power in that.
Totally, 100%. Yeah, yeah. And you know what's cool is you mentioned the food. Once I like really dialed in my macros and dialed in my nutrition, that's what kickstarted this process. Because you know, like you mentioned food, you think you need it at some point, or like you want, like there's a lot of good food out there, a lot of good tastes. I love food. I'll be honest, right? I could, if I allowed myself, I would eat everything from everywhere, right? And you start to crave and, you know, get addicted to these things, and overcoming those addictions of food, that's one of the hardest things to get over. It's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't even like walk a place without smelling something phenomenal, right? So, but once you're able to eliminate that need, I eat very basic now, and I view food as a tool, right? I don't eat out. That saves me money. And I get the nutrients I need to gaining muscle and losing fat, right? So that's I call that a need, like a necessity to live, right? Because in that sense, there are certain needs. But in another sense, where you got to know the line between instant gratification and an actual need to live, right? So, and once you break that down, overcome that, then that's what kickstarted it for me.
Yeah, and if you guys are just listening to this, Tamerus is jacked, let me tell you. So
Thank you.
if anybody knows about putting on some muscle, it definitely is Tamerus.
I'm good at what I do.
But it's on that path of food. I know what you're saying, man. Like I could eat fucking ice cream every night. I could have a good old time. I could have some pizza. I could have some sushi. I could, you know, but like you're saying, there is some type of addiction or something. I mean, our brains crave this. We, you know, if anybody knows anything a little bit about nutrition, we crave the salts and the fats and the sweetness, these things that are rare in nature and whatnot. So when all these hyper palatable foods are there, everything's constantly available, all these things are ready to hijack you. But I know when I started cleaning up my diet some years back, it's funny, you'd be sitting down and chilling and you'd be like, why do I want that? Like,
yeah.
What is this? I just had a fucking steak and I just had, why do I want ice cream? Why do I want this stuff? But it's that addiction in your brain. It's, you know, some people talk about it being part of your gut bacteria and stuff like that or whatever. So there really is, and not to mention the hyperpalatability of the food is addictive, I believe.
Yep, 100%.
So there's a lot to that.
Yeah, and companies literally, they'll make their food as addicting as possible, so you come back and buy more.
Right.
I think Doritos literally has chemists that you know, create formulas to where you can't stop eating them. So
right. I mean, it's marketing slogans. I bet you can't eat just one because they know they're going to win.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah,
it is. So. But people, if you listening in, watching, if you haven't experienced this, I would encourage you to do some type of experiment. You know, be safe. If you need to see a doctor, whatever it is, those disclaimers, do it. But try maybe a fast, try skipping a meal, try cleaning up your diet in some way. Tamerus is a guy, you know, he lives this stuff. He can really help you out. I mean, try to stay away from the Instagram heroes that have every cure for everything on there. But you know, there's a lot of power to this stuff. You're gonna see your brain transforms, your body transforms, you sleep better. When you sleep better, you're motivated to exercise. You exercise, your body functions better. You work better. It's just this vicious cycle. And just cleaning up one or two of those things really puts a lot of things into alignment.
Totally. If I can dive into something. Nutrition and fitness is a gateway to discipline. If you can be disciplined with your food, you can be disciplined with just about anything else, right? You can say no to the foods that you love that have no benefit to you. It's just gratification. If you can get rid of that, you get into the habit of eliminating instant gratification and you start choosing purpose over pleasure, right? On top of that, when you commit to a workout program, I work out I haven't missed a workout in over a year, like every single morning workout. I usually work out multiple times a day, but committing to that, especially in the morning, it sets your mind right. You're winning right out the bat, especially if like you have a program that you're following where you're constantly hitting PRs on a consistent basis. Those are just wins you're stacking every single day. And literally the blood flow creates a blood oxidation level to where that raises your vibe, raises your frequency, you know, puts you in a good mood and everything too. But if you can commit to a nutrition program and a fitness program and you prioritize that every single day, that gains discipline. Because I work out every day, but I don't want to work out every day. I am thankful to say that fitness is a passion for me, right? So I do a majority of days want to work out, but I don't want to get up at 4 a.m. I haven't missed the morning wake up time either. Nutrition, wake up time, and fitness, gateways of discipline, right? So with that, when I'm waking up every morning at 4 a.m. and going to work out, that creates discipline. Sleeping in is another one of those things that I love to do, but I haven't done that in over a year because I committed non-negotiable to my wake up time, right? So always hitting my macros, always hitting my wake up time, and always hitting my workout first thing, no matter what. Those are some of the hardest things to do, I would say, right? I bet everyone struggles with that. But once you overcome those things, there's so many positive benefits I can totally dive down a rabbit hole with. But the fact that you're overcoming these hard things when you're faced with a vice and you've been waking up at 4 a.m. for a year. I laugh at my vices now. My vices used to have so much power over me, like so much. Just seeing them, smelling them, or like them being brought up in conversation. My friends like, hey, you want to do this? Fuck it. When I just said the night before, never again, right? But now when those things come up, no, no, because I know what it does to my life, and I know I've built the discipline up over time with my program. So, and that started with the fitness. It started with the nutrition. It started with those disciplines. And anything you do is everything you do, right? So if you get really disciplined in one area, you carry that discipline into other areas of your life too. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, no, that is so spot on. So many things. I mean, I'll stand in front of my ice bath in the morning and just stand there and look at it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Just get your ass in there. It's not that fucking cold, you know?
Exactly.
But, I mean, you listen to everybody out there. I mean, David Goggins was talking about, I stare at my motherfucking shoes for 30 minutes in the morning before I go to run. We all have that. But like you're saying, when you create that discipline, then you create the habits, and then you create those habits, you get to where you are, you don't miss. And when you don't miss, I mean, there's so much that builds from that, like I heard something, I don't know if it's a theory or whatever it is, but if you just do something for 18 minutes a day for 100 days straight, you'll be ahead of like 90-something% of the population. But just think about how 18 fucking minutes, that's nothing.
Right.
You can fucking fuck off on Instagram for fucking 20 minutes without even thinking about it. Like you don't even realize it happens. But if you just woke up at a consistent time, well, guess what? You're gonna go to bed at a consistent time.
Exactly.
So you're gonna get a consistent amount of sleep. So when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna, maybe you're not motivated, but you're gonna know, like, listen, I can do this. You get the discipline, you build the habit, and then you just do these things. I mean, 18 minutes, you just do some fucking push-ups, you do some pull-ups, whatever, like that.
Yep.
In 100 days, you're going to be a different human being.
100%. Yep.
It's unreal.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So much power in all this stuff.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. It's a routine. It's huge for anything, You mentioned waking up early. You're going to go to bed at a certain time, right? Yeah. When I was so weak to my vices, I realized that they typically happen past 9 o'clock, right? So when I'm getting up at 4 a.m. and feeling like shit because I didn't go to bed till 12 o'clock, right? I started to realize, hey, I should just go to sleep at 8 or 9 o'clock, and nothing good happens past that time anyway. And I wake up with more sleep, or I'm feeling better, right? So the morning wake up time really helped me eliminate my vices because I just wasn't awake during the time that they typically would happen. So no,
that's those little things. When you start to do these things, you can think clearly about these things. You can dial in, like, what is my trigger? Like a lot of times it happens, right? It's like it's a trigger and then an action. So if you can figure out what the trigger is, you can eliminate the action. Yes, so you find your trigger. Hey, like, listen, at 10 o'clock at night, listen, my inhibitions are down. I'm tired. The ice cream looks good. I shouldn't have bought it, but I did. But now it's in the freezer. Well, I'm gonna sit here. Then let's put on another episode. And next thing you know, it's fucking 2 o'clock in the morning. You're like, shit.
Yeah.
So all those things stack. There's so much there. Like
exactly.
One thing I like is I set policies. Like, listen, my policy is I don't drink. My policy is I don't do things. And then when you have like a policy, it's like a weird different mentality in your brain, I guess it is. Totally. Where you're like, well, I don't do these things, but then you start making exceptions, you start making excuses, you start making things. And rules is also maybe another one that helps too. Either a rule or a policy. I really feel like that helps a lot of people.
I call them non-negotiable commitments.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's another thing I'm a year on. I'm a year sober too. So over a year sober. That was
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm never going back. I don't have a problem with it anymore. Like, it doesn't really call me like it used to. And it's because I'm so fulfilled now. Every substance that I was taking, I was using to fill a void in my heart, right? Or like try to fill a piece of me that was missing. Well, I've been filling up those voids. I've been filling up those pieces of me, and I'm so whole myself. I don't need that stuff anymore like it used to. But again, that's a non-negotiable commitment when it comes to that. So I 100% agree with the policies or whatever term you want to call it. Yeah, it's just that standard. Like, this is the way it is, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I remember too. I used to, when I was younger. I should drink and to fucking oblivion, and I could put down some drinks, man. Let me tell you, I'm not a cheap date. And then one day, I don't know what it was, and I was like, why the fuck am I just getting myself fucking shit-faced drunk pretty much every night of the week? I mean, Sundays was like a day off, kinda, And, I remember, going to bed at 6 a.m. and getting up at 8 for fucking work, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
One day I realized, I was like, I'm drinking because I am still trying to fulfill these expectations that my dad set for me.
Wow. Okay.
I don't want to do them. That's why I'm not doing them, which is causing angst, which is causing a rift in my family, which is making my dad, disappointed in me. And I was constantly hearing this. I don't want to work in the family business. I don't want anything to do with these fucking people. I don't want, so I would leave work and I would go get drunk, and it was fun. And there's Fun Tyson, and here we go. He's partying. Look at this fucking idiot. Let's give him another drink. And then when I realized that, I don't know what it was. I wish I could remember what happened. And I was just like, I don't need to fucking impress this motherfucker. I don't need his approval. And it was like a switch like that. It was it was fucking over. It was like weird.
Right
but
on.
I don't know, something about like when we have the opportunity to introspect and find out, like we were saying earlier, what is this trigger? When you figure that out, and it's not fucking easy to dig deep into yourself and stop lying to yourself. We all lie to ourselves so much. If you just talked out what you said in your head, the shit you convince yourself of, you'd be like, people would look at you and be like, you're fucking dumb. What are you talking about? But in your head, you're like, man, this is a good story, man. You're right on. You're onto something here.
Yeah.
But getting past that. I mean, I recommend people, it's hard. And like Tamerus saying, I mean, he'd spent a year, and this is just the beginning of hard fucking work. But I've seen a massive change, in somebody that I know. It's not easy. It's hard. But man, the things that you get freed from are just unreal.
Totally. A bit about your story. That's what happens when you try to live someone else's purpose.
Right.
That live a purpose that someone else has for you. Right.
Right.
And that's what, So glad you made it on the other side of that. That's what's up. But once you find I feel like once you find your purpose that you're made for, or the universe or God, whatever you believe in, what that has for you, you don't need all that other stuff. You don't have to act like someone else, right? And you don't need to find substances to alter your state so you can be okay. And then you start attacking what's causing you to feel that way, right? If it's not someone else's purpose, there's something. And this is like, conscious congruency is a term that I got from my coach, and I love it, right?
I like
because your conscience is always telling you how you should live, the person you're meant to be, right? Your moral standard, right? Whatever it is, your conscience knows what's up. And when you're connected to that and you're not going against your conscience, you don't need to be anything else. The times we need to be in an altered state or like seek out a need, it's because we're trying to fulfill something that our conscience is telling us to get over, right? So that's how I view it. So I really had to listen, like you mentioned, like dive in deep and just do some self-reflecting and like, why am I fucking my life up? What is doing it? What's the root cause of it, right? Yeah. So you find the root, and then you find out why you're doing it. And the habits, it comes down to the habits, right? So you identify the habits, and those are your weaknesses. You got to build strengths on the opposite side of those weaknesses, right? So, but anyway, even at church, I go to CCB, and I love that church. First off, it's geared towards men, so that's what I like, right? Yeah. So, and the pastors there, they always have a message that just makes sense. And one thing that I got from last service is you cannot defeat what you do not define.
Ooh,
that's exactly right. That boom. That's exactly what I did. I defined all my bad habits. And I attacked them. Right. So I started eliminating the bad habits, and then from there, what was wild was when I eliminated my bad habits, I'm just kind of sitting there. I'm like, all right, now what the fuck do I do? That took out most of the things I was doing on the deal. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, and I always prayed for answers. So I just sat in silence. Right. And just kept. There's times where I wasn't doing anything, but at least I wasn't taking backward steps. I wasn't doing the bad habits. And all of a sudden, the right habits, the answers just started to flow to me because I created that space for them to start coming to me. And then I started filling that space with the good habits. And that was the beginning a year ago. And then I was like, all right, this is what I should be doing. This is what I shouldn't be doing. I'm just going to keep doing this day by day. And it was a day by day thing. Because in the beginning with my program, I was like, I don't know where this is going, but my coach said it's going to work, and it worked for him. So I'm just going to keep running it. And then all of a sudden, man, oh gosh, I love this process. I was talking about it in one of my videos because you just go in with faith. I don't know where this is going, but I got faith. It seems aligned with my purpose, aligned with what he wants for me, right? So I'm just going to go for it. And then months into it, it's like, okay, man, I think like 6 months it took where I was finally like, all right, I think I'm onto something here. Like, I think I'm going in the right direction, because you're going so long and there's no delayed gratification takes time. There's no visible results or reward for it, right? And then once 6 months in, I was like, man, I started seeing some results. So I was like, man, okay, well, at least I'm like not fucking my life over anymore. Like nothing bad's been happening in a long time. So that's cool. And about 8 months in, like I just felt this feeling of peace just start to come over me, right? And that's what we want, especially as men. We just want a peaceful life, right? Don't bring drama into my life, right? And I was the one bringing the drama into my life, so I stopped doing that, and the peace started to come in. And then probably 10 months around, I'm like, man, okay, this is really cool. Like, good things started to happen. Things started to flow my direction. Like, I literally felt blessings were just flowing to me, right? And I'm over a year in my program, I'm like, everything I was praying for, everything I was hoping for, everything like I was visualizing myself becoming 6 to 8 months ago, right? It's happening. Like, it's just flowing to me. And like, every way I wake up more aligned, more purpose driven, more just like, I'm on the right path. I'm just going to stick to this program and everything's going to happen the way it should happen. So that was a little bit about like the process I went with that. So
no, it's beautiful, because I'm not sure about other countries. I know we got a lot of listeners in other countries, but in America, really, there's a lot of people that ain't going to stick through that stuff. The second there's something hard, the second there's something oh, I'm not getting results. I've been in the gym for 4 days already. I haven't seen anything happen. And we fall victim to these things like that. But there is a power. If you just, I think if you just initially commit 100 days to something, it sounds crazy, but it's not that long. It's a little over 3 months.
Yeah, it's really
that consistent. That consistency and going through these things, you're gonna be like Tamerus, you're gonna start to see things, you're gonna start to feel a little different. It's something we really got to cultivate, and especially in our American culture, is allowing just get rid of this instant gratification bullshit. It's all bullshit, because as soon as you get this thing, you don't even want it anymore. You don't even know why you were pursuing it. You like it for like 14 seconds. You got shit piled up in your closet. You're like, why did I buy all this stuff? It's like thousands of dollars stuff I thought I wanted, I didn't really need. So take a moment when you're looking at a roadblock, take that moment to say, what am I doing? Like you're saying, like Tamerus is saying, his visions he had for things, the things he wanted to go. When you have something like that, you have that laid out. When you get these roadblocks, you can look back and say, like, listen, hey, wait a minute. I know why I'm doing this. Let me give this a chance. Let me work this thing. Let me work the system, whatever it is that you're going through and doing. Give these things a chance. Like I said, try at least 100 days. Commit to the 100 days. And when you get to the 100 day, you can make another commitment. You can keep doing on. It's so easy. We quit so easy. We don't see this. I signed up for a program. My son's gonna be a millionaire in fucking 3 weeks. It's fucking 2 weeks now, and I'm still not even there yet. And we're just constantly going these things. And somehow I think there's a little bit of a design there, from maybe these companies, stuff that they understand our psychology and they do these things and they constantly are like, picking at that stuff. But once you recognize these things, you can start to pick them up and whatnot. You're gonna be able to not fall for these traps, and then stay committed, stay on this path, stay doing these things.
100%. It's funny you mentioned once you get the thing, sometimes you don't even want it. There's stuff I was so set on. I'm like, this is meant for me. And sometimes, like, especially with women, right? I'd be charging towards this goal or like this vision or this person, and I get there or I get it or get her, right? And all of a sudden I'm like, man, that just made my life even worse. Turns out I don't know what I need or don't know what I want, So I totally get that.
I mean, we hear it too from people. I want to say mostly in the wealth kind of thing, we hear it from people, but you hear that. It's like, oh, I chased the money, I got it, and it's really not worth it. And it's like weird because we don't believe that stuff until we go through it. So sometimes we kind of need to go through it. Yeah. And that's part of being a human, I think. That's part of growing, is like getting that thing, chasing that thing. And then when you get it, being able to go back and reflect and like, you know what? It wasn't about the thing. It was about that journey and the person I had to become, the things 100%. I had to do, the sacrifice I had to make. And if you can extrapolate that from whatever happened, it's not a negative. It's just a situation you went through, and you're just going to be a better person, a better boss, a father, mother, parent, whatever it is you're doing.
Yep. I like that. Right on, man. Good stuff. Yep.
I would like to circle back to something you said earlier about you being a bitch. Walk us through, like, what was that? What was the feeling? What did you mean? What do you mean by that? How'd you get through it?
So I call that, being a bitch is just like being weak-minded, and not listening to your conscience. Like, okay, this is something I thought of actually today. I used to say I got demons. I have demons. This is stuff, these voices in my head or like these actions that I'm doing is because of my demons. And when you think you got demons, that creates this entity. And I feel like calling it a demon gives it power, because demons, you don't know the extent of their power, right? You don't know like how you can fight them or overcome them, right? So that's what I felt like I was dealing with. I was giving my vices more power that way. I was giving my poor choices more power that way. I wasn't keeping my word to myself because of these demons that I had, right? Well, I started calling that the voice of my inner bitch, right? I can overcome a bitch. You know what I mean? So come at me. I'm a little bit. I'll overcome that. As opposed to a demon. So I changed the wording that I had for that in my mind, right? So anytime I'm not doing what I should be doing or what I know I'm meant to be doing, or that grand vision of the man that I'm meant to be, if my actions and habits don't align with that, that's me being a bitch, right? Overcome that shit. Get over it, right? Get on the path to who you're meant to be, right? And I call myself that constantly still, you know, because, well, the voice, I would say so much, or now, right?
Right.
I understand that the little version of myself, he was a big bitch because he needed so much from the world, right? I don't need anything from the world today. I'm showing up as a better version of myself. So that's where I'm at. But when it comes to that, question was about being a bit. Yeah, that's because kind of how I view it, I guess. Does that make sense?
No, it is, because what I'm hearing from you is giving that inner voice a name and giving it power. You know, language is very, very powerful. And we have to be careful what we do things, what we label, what we call ourselves. I guess I don't experience this, but I hear this a lot. People say that like the harshest critic and the worst things they ever hear in life is from their own head, inside their own head. That's crazy to me, but we have to be careful with language, even if it's a language we're saying to ourselves in our head.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So when I'm being negative, that's me being a bitch.
Right.
Get over yourself.
Right.
Move on. Right.
Yeah.
Any negative emotion, and this is I'm not saying anyone else. This is nothing to do with anyone else. I know I've made videos and stuff, and like people get all butthurt about it. I'm like, dude, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the old version of myself. So however you want to take that, that's on you. But this is me talking to myself, and this is what worked for me to get over being a bitch. I was calling myself one, calling it out, saying it how it is. And once again, identifying the problem. That way, it's a lot of things in life. It's just like man up. It's really just man up and handle it. You know. So if I'm going to do that, I'm being a bitch. That's how I view it.
No, I hear you. When I don't want to work out, when I want some ice cream, I'm like, listen, fat boy.
Oh, exactly.
This is what we're doing.
Exactly.
And I call myself, that's my alter ego, whatever, you know, fat boy. Hey, listen, fat boy, you don't want to do this? Let's go. You don't want to do another set? You don't want to do another thing? Listen, fat boy. Like, and that's how I talk to my inner bitch, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll say to myself too, like, listen, fat boy, stop being a bitch and get this shit done. You know, stop being a bitch. You don't need ice cream. Let's go make a protein shake. Let's get some fruit. Let's go whatever. Let's get this thing, you know. When I'm standing at the store, I think I've been doing lately is I just love ice cream. That's my vice, you know. That's my thing. And I don't know how I figured this out or whatever it is. I just go to the ice cream aisle and I just look. And I stand there and I just look, oh yeah, that would be good. And then when I'm done, I'm like satisfied. It's weird. Okay. It is weird, but somehow I've come onto this. And then I don't buy the ice cream and I go home. And I'm over it. It's like really weird. I don't know if you guys want to give it a try. I just might be weird. I don't know.
It's been
working. It's so strange. And then, you know, and then I don't want the ice cream anymore because I don't have whatever that addiction, that gut bacteria thing or whatever it is that's causing me to crave that ice cream, whatever it is, you know. Sometimes I try to justify it to myself. I'm like, I need some glycogen replacement. I'm like, shut up. Like, stop with your lies.
Yeah.
I'm like this, but language, listen, people, language is important. Especially we're recording this in November 23. Listen to the language around you. Listen to the language or changing language. This is so important. When you change language, you change words meaning. When you change meanings of words, you can change contracts. You change these things. You change the laws because you've changed the meaning of words. Words are very important. Like I said earlier, especially the words you tell yourself in your head. Be nice to your fucking self. You know what I mean? You might be the only person that's doing it. And when you are able to show up to like that, you show up as a different person in the world. And I think you're going to be able to do more things. You're going to be able to get over hurdles and all kind of different things. You'll be able to, you know, get in touch with that different part of the universe, get in touch with those different things that are out there.
Yeah, totally. There is a fine line between, so I talk to myself pretty harsh, right? But it's constructive. You know, I lay it out how it is in order for me to understand what's wrong so I can overcome it, right? But there was a time where like I would talk to myself, and if you would have heard the language I had back then, you'd be like, man, no wonder your life sucks, right? That's how I talk to myself. And just like you said, words are powerful, and you can speak things into existence, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I 100% agree with you. So
Yeah, nocebo. If you guys don't know what nocebo is, look it up. I'll leave a definition for that. But you can trick yourself into making something worse than it's not. You can take a sugar pill and you can make it be whatever you can. You can dream yourself into being sick. You can. It's our minds are powerful. Something seems like that we connect to some different frequency or something in the world or the universe, whatever it is. Maybe it's God, whatever you believe. But it seems like somehow our brain. Maybe it's some type of receiver in a way, or like, you know, like a radio or a CB radio or something like that. Somehow it seems like there's something out there where you can conjure in different frequencies and get in touch with different levels, good and bad. So you got to be careful with that. I don't understand that negative language. I never have talked to myself that way. I mean, I'll tell myself, like, you know, stop. But I've heard some people talk about how they talk to themselves, and I'm like, shit, that's harsh, you know?
Yeah. I was there. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So you hit rock bottom, you got a bucket of piss, you locked yourself out of the car, you're standing in pajama pants.
Yep.
What was the action steps? What was step one? What was step 2, 3, whatever, how many steps you kind of want to briefly maybe go through or whatever?
Yeah, you know, it didn't even start there. Just the thought of, like, that was like where I started to have the thought to turn my life around, but I didn't know what to do, right? And there's still things I thought I had to do to live, right, and survive and everything. So, you know, I think around that time I decided I gave up on Arizona. Now that I think about it, that's what it was. So I kind of like got to the point where, like, you know what, that's it. I gotta get to Arizona. Like my goal when I was with my ex, so I was only supposed to come out here for a year and live with her and then go back to California with her, right? A year later, that didn't happen, right? We're still together. We're together for 3 years and then we broke up. And then I think in my mind, I had this like feeling of I had a point to prove, right? That's why I stuck around in Arizona longer than I expected. But I mean, I kind of liked it more on the east side anyway. So I was like, it's not so bad. When I was in Peoria, I didn't like Arizona. When I was in Chandler, I was like, it's not so bad out here. So, but anyway, I had tons of justifications while I was staying out here. But I got to that point and I thought about things for a while. This is after the story I just told. And I think I was like, you know, I'm just going to go back to California. Like, you know, I had a good life out there. Worst case, can get back into construction, everything, but we figured it out. And I was still working with a network marketing company, and the main organization was in California. So I felt like I had a lot more opportunity out there. So that was like the first step I took. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to California, right? So I go out to California, and I'm still living in my car. I'm in Orange County because that's what my organization was with the network marketing company, and I'm establishing myself out there. I was doing actually pretty good. I had the system down. I was with good coaches out there. And my marketing was in colleges and gyms, right? That's where I met my clientele and my potential people to work with.
Yeah.
So I'm there, and this is in 2020, right? So I go out there in like February. And then all of a sudden, you know, around March, and like I wasn't like really paying attention to the news or anything, but all of a sudden gyms start closing down and colleges start closing down.
Yeah.
I mean, avenues to make money. First colleges closed down. I was like, oh crap. And I was like doing surveys out there to meet people. So all right, I'm gonna get into the gyms. So my income started to slow down in the network marketing company. So I was like, all right, I need to act fast because I kind of know what happens when I don't act fast. So I got a job at a gym, right? Well, the day I was supposed to start at Neo's out there, all the gyms shut down. Oh gosh, what do I do? And I'm living in my car showering in a gym, right? So I'm like, oh, okay.
There goes that.
There goes that, exactly, right? So that was a rough time. But anyway, long story short, I had to go back to live with mom who lived in Santa Clarita. So I'm living with her. And thankfully, I ended up picking up a little boot camp out there. I used to work at a kids club when I was 18, a child's daycare at a gym. And one of the parents just reached out. You know, God always sends me enough to get by when I have faith in him, right? And I had enough faith in him back then to be like, here you go. So I picked up a group class out there that I was doing a couple times a week. And then I was getting some income to get by. And then it was wild because like gyms opened up again. So I go back to Orange County, right? And I'm working at EOS, and I go from just a personal trainer and I had an option to be either lead trainer there or assistant fitness manager. So things were progressing in the right direction, right? So I chose lead trainer because I'd rather train than sell training. And right when I picked that position, I was in there for like a couple of days and gym shut down again. Like, oh my gosh. So that's when I was like, all right, I got to do something. You know, I can't be living with mom forever. I'm in my 30s. This isn't right? So I'm looking at Arizona, and Arizona is like, everything's fine. Everything's open. Everybody's living life like normal out here. So I'm like, okay.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. So I'm like, let me just go out there for a month and see what happens. So I came back out here, and then I got things started progressing in the right direction, you know. So I was making money through the network marketing company. I was making money as a personal trainer. And then I had a good friend of mine, my best friend, John Carlo. He actually he's like, dude, just stay with me. So I was like, all right, cool. I really appreciate that. So thankfully he let me stay with him for a while. And I was like making ends meet. At least I wasn't making stupid decisions and everything, but same old bad habits, right? So I got to the point where I started stripping again. So I got back into stripping again, but at least I had a home to go to this time because my best friend, right? But anyway, long story short, I knew things needed to change, but I didn't have the habits to change them, you know? So praying for answers. This is where I was like, God, I know things need to change. I just help me, please. And I just waited. And then it's wild because me and my best friend, when we go to Old Town one night, right? And we get drunk and everything. We're having a great time. And a random thought comes in my mind. And my ex-girlfriend's sister's husband, I saw this. We've been cool. He's an awesome dude. He's always inspired me. When me and my ex first got together, he was a realtor. He had one property, right? And then he worked his way up to owning, I think, either like 16 plus properties at the time. And like, he's always been there for me here and there. We have lunch and everything. We have great talks and so forth. So I was like, randomly, I'm like, I'm just gonna hit him up and send him an appreciation text. So I sent him an appreciation text. Like, hey man, I appreciate you. They've always inspired me. And then, a little rundown of how I felt about him. But then he asked me, I was like, what are you up to these days? I told him my situation, and he's like, hey, let's do something. He believed in me. Thankfully, someone believed in me, and I'm so grateful for this. His name's Chris Bowers. But yeah, he believed in me in the point where he wanted to create something with me. And he asked me what I'm good at, and he knew I was fitness, right? So I told him about my situation, and he's like, well, let's get you a coaching business going. He was actually working with another coach, Wes Watson. If you hear this guy's like super intense. Like, this is what got me with Wes. When I saw Wes, because the way I was feeling, I was so shameful of where I'd been in life up until that point. Well, Wes was in jail for 10 plus years. So obviously he did something worse than me, right? In jail, he develops this ridiculous philosophy and mindset, and he comes out just this epitome of a man, the way you should be. From the gate, leaving jail, 5 years later, this guy's making $2 million a month, helping others overcome their problems. And I saw that, I was like, whoa, this dude did it worse than me. And now he's doing it exponentially better than I can even fathom, right? So that's what kickstarted it for me. And he's laying down the philosophy, So that night was the last night I drank. That was it. Wes said, no drinking. He said, get your wake up time, get your workout, get your macros. So I'm running the program that I got from him, right? So that's what kickstarted me. Then working with Chris fronted the money to start up a coaching program with Wes, right? So me and Chris, we went 50-50 on a business, So he did the back end, I did the front end. So he did the initial investment, and then I paid him back through my what I made through my coaching business, right? So thankfully, someone just believed in me. I didn't even ask for that. I just asked for answers for God, and God sent me way more than I could have even imagined, right? But anyway, I start this coaching program, and I'm getting clientele, and then I realized, like, man, I'm having a hard time here because I'm coaching people with something that I'm not living, right? So that's when I kind of took a step back from it, and I said, I'm going to run this myself for a year, like just see what happens, right? And that's when things really kickstarted for me. Once I made the non-negotiable commitment to, the wake up time, the macros, the workout, and then sticking into my character and building it over time. Once I made that non-negotiable, then we already went over the rest of the story. But that was like the major turning point. I needed that structure. I needed that discipline. I needed a program that made sense to follow. And Wes was a dude. He was, again, I was so shameful as a man of where I was at. And here's someone that could have been way more shameful than I was, but he wasn't. He just got his shit together. He manned the fuck up, said, I'm going to turn this around and become the man that I meant to be. And he did it. And that's what I saw. And then he broke down how he did it in a way that I could follow, and I just ran with it.
Yeah, if you guys don't know Wes, this guy is amazing. I'll link to him, his IG and his YouTube and whatever in the show notes. This guy's amazing. He lives it. Like Tamerus said, this guy was in jail. He could have been gone back to that old life, whatever, but he's created an incredible thing. He's helped guys like Tamerus. I've seen him help other guys come out of prison. This guy has an amazing YouTube channel. He's an amazing IG. I highly recommend if you're looking for something like Tamerus is talking about, this guy, he is a fucking amazing guy. I'll link that for you guys. Oh, that's crazy that you connected with him. That's awesome. I love his stuff.
Yeah, it really was awesome. Lecturing. I had 1 month in this program. That's all I needed. You know, I'm kind of the type where like if it makes sense to me and I can see the direction it goes, I'll run it. Like I'm a committed dude. Like everything I get into and I'm really passionate about, I will dive into that, good or bad, right? I've dove into a lot of things that fucked my life up. But the good stuff, like a program like that, say less. I got it. You know, it makes sense to me. I don't have any questions. You know, it's broken down in a way that made sense. I'm just gonna run it and see what happens and never fucking stop. And what's cool is this time I committed 100% because I've gotten into multiple things where I'll run with it to a point where I'm not seeing the results that I want, or I get distracted, or I just move on, whatever outside source just, gets me off the path. This time I'm like, no matter what, that was huge. The non-negotiable commitment to it. That was a game changer right there. So
yeah, that's a lot. That's a key thing you said at the end there. A lot of people, they don't make that commitment. You know, what is it, the old adage or whatever it is? You know, how do you take the island? You got to burn the boats.
Yeah, 100%.
You got to commit. You got to commit 100%. And that's the thing. I do it. Don't get me wrong, people. I do it. We all. I know we all do it. You try something, sounds fun, but you're not committed to it because you're like, whatever. And then you wonder why it doesn't work. It's because you're not committed to doing it. You're not committed, like we talked about earlier. You're not committed to that 100 days. You're not committed to that 6 months. You're not committed to that 12 months. You're not committed to these things. That's why we're not going to see results. That's super powerful, guys. Listen to that. Listen back to what Tamerus was saying about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I still kind of blowing my mind. You know, Wes.
Yeah,
he's so crazy. I don't know him. I see his content. What a great seeming guy. He just seems amazing. What is something that happened along this journey that you didn't expect to happen?
Oh, a lot. Like, gosh, the blessings, man. Like, just how things worked out in ways that were better than I could have even imagined. You know, just the initial conversation I sent a gratitude text to a buddy that I stayed in contact with. All of a sudden I'm 50-50 in a business, right? Yeah. And then that was awesome. And then we tried that for a while. He's a real estate guy. He does very well in real estate. If you guys have any real estate needs, I would say he's the guy to go to, right? So where the disconnect was, I handled the front end where I was taking care of the clients, and he handled the back end of the business side of things. So there was a big disconnect between the two of us because he was so busy with his real estate, I feel like. And then I guess I didn't really dive into it because I wasn't seeing what I needed to see out of it right away. Back to my old habits, I needed to see money right away because I was barely getting by, right? But anyway, another thing that happened, we parted ways on good terms, right? So once we parted ways, now I'm sole owner of my business. And once that happened, I'm like, I have full control. And I just really dove into it. And once that happened, my life just flipped. I didn't see that coming. We just had a conversation one day and he told me what he felt about where we were. And again, we left on good terms, right? And all of a sudden now, and he helped me get started again with my business all on my own. And now I have 100% complete control of my finances, my life, right? Once you do that, once you take control of your finances, you have control of your life, really. Mm-hmm. The way I can manage and take care of my clients and everything just really flipped for me and changed with that. So those two were huge. I would say those are the best. I know there's more.
Of course. Yeah.
It's awesome because when I ask God for something with 100% faith that he's going to take care of me, he usually gives me something greater than I ever asked for, you know? So it's along the lines of it, but boom, way more than I could have asked for. Right. And the more that happens, because there's times where it's happened so many times in my life, but I just forget over time. Right. And the more I build my relationship with him and put full faith in him, now I know, when I ask for something, I just give it to you. I'm just going to keep doing those 4 things I talked about earlier, right? Being the best man that I can be on the daily basis, moment to moment. And then boom, huge blessing out of nowhere. It's like, holy crap, I didn't see that coming. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, you know, something that you made me think about is, as you're telling this story here, is to tell people in our lives how much we appreciate them. Mm-hmm. Your employees, your mother, your father, your brother, whoever it is, a random person, like you're saying, that helped you before. I think a fun exercise we can do, if you guys haven't tried this, I give it a try. Send out some thank you cards, like OG, go down to Walmart or whatever, Amazon, whatever your thing is, pick up some thank you cards. Doesn't have to be crazy, doesn't have to be a lot, or maybe make your own and just write a little something to somebody. No expectations. It's the key, people.
Totally.
No expectations.
Yeah.
Don't be writing the motherfuckers trying to like, listen, if I got this guy to talk to me again, maybe we could. No expectations. Just to be like, hey, dude, I appreciate your friendship. We haven't talked in a while. I hope everything's great. Boom, send it out in the mail. Or shoot some random people text messages, dude. This shit's powerful, man. Showing people that you appreciate them, your employees, especially whatever maybe role you have, even if it's just your colleague and stuff like that. Let people know you appreciate them. You don't know how shitty people's lives are, how shitty people's having a day, whatever it is. And just saying, dude, hey, I appreciate you. I thank you. Hey, man, thanks for spotting me. Thanks for helping me in that project. I appreciate you covering me in the meeting, whatever it is. Let people know you appreciate them. It's powerful. I think that is something that's missing a little bit from our society, is letting people know we appreciate them.
Totally agree with that.
Tamerus, that's a good little challenge. I think we should be doing.
Boom.
So you talked earlier about habits, adding them, removing them. If you can think back to what was or is the most important habits, either you added or you removed.
Yeah. So anything that was causing a backward step in my life, right? So for sure, any vice, any sorts of instant gratification, those are all backward steps, right? Because, you may feel great in the moment, but does it cause you true fulfillment? No. Is it adding value to your life? No. Is it getting you closer to your purpose? No, it's definitely not, right? So anything along those lines that are a solid no, and you got to be real with yourself, because if you got to justify why you need something or why, you want something, that's obviously, you don't need to justify things that are good. It's just obviously that they're good, right? It's obviously propelling in the right direction. So I personally just say no to alcohol, no to drugs, 100% sober. It's cut that out. I knew for a fact there's no positive to any of that, right? In my opinion, I think my opinion's pretty solid on this one. There's no positive benefit to any of that. It's literally a poison that's messing you up physically, emotionally. I was making all sorts of stupid decisions I regretted later. Anything that brings me regret, I need to eliminate from my life, right? So I can't cause my own regrets. So drinking was huge. Oh gosh, man!
Even if you added something, whatever. Either way, add or remove, whatever you feel like was really good things.
Well, there's so much I remove because the process of removal is huge. The bad eating, the pleasure seeking, right? One of my biggest vices that it's still a hard one for me to battle today, but I'm a lot more solid now. Is lust. Like anything lustful, I had to get rid of. Seeking out, hookups, random hookups, random pleasure seeking like that. I had to get rid of it, because just hookups are it's you can't just do it isn't just what it is. The hookup there's more to it on an emotional level. You're literally connecting with this person on a spiritual level, and they're a part of you now, right? And then that brings emotions that carry on to whether it's regret or negative emotion that just pulls you from your purpose, your focus on life, right? So I had to eliminate all that. Yeah, gosh, there's just so much. Like this is the bad stuff.
What about something you added that maybe made a really big impact? You maybe didn't even realize it at the time.
Well, the big things I added, those 4 things, right? My wake up time.
Yeah.
That alone, when you're committed to waking up at 4 a.m., you're eliminating a lot of bullshit. You got to rearrange and prioritize your life, right? So that was huge. And the reason I wake up that early is because no one else is up, and I have a good solid 4 hours of my day to set my mind right, right? Yeah. So I get up, I have a process that I start building my frequencies. I used to be the biggest bitch first thing in the morning. I just wake up just negative as shit, especially when I was in my dark times. And then I would sit in bed and I'd start scrolling on my phone, just trying to find some sort of hit of dopamine, right? So I eliminated all that bullshit. So I got up right away, right? And then I'm building the frequencies, building my vibrations and stuff, right? So anyway, the wake up time. Yeah, I can go more into that.
Go.
Yeah. So that process of building myself the first 4 hours a day is something I added also. And it used to take me a solid 4 hours at least to be some sort of positive, I may have come across as a happy guy or used to come across as a happy guy, but my mind was so fucked. I was so negative, right? And I was doing everything that I could before my program, before my process. It would take me all day to build a positive vibe. And then towards the end of the night, right, I'm like, okay, cool. I finally feel okay about myself. Then I go fuck off with my vices and fuck myself over and wake up the next morning and I'm fucking at square one again, right? So this again, that's why I get so my mind's twisted on what I remove because I remove so much. But anyway, the morning wake up time and that process of building my frequencies first thing, right? Building the high vibrations, getting my priorities straight. That used to take me 4 hours at least. And then I try to go into my day and start from there. Now I'm like, I still wake up a bitch, but I overcome that right away. I needed a process to wake up. Get this, dude. So my lights turn on automatically in my room. You can set a timer.
Nice.
So at 3:50, I have my lights turn on at 50%.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't wake me up. 4 o'clock, my lights would turn on at full blast. That wouldn't wake me up. And at 4:05, I have 2 alarms that go off on different parts of my room. That would wake me up, and I got to get up and shut off the alarms, right? Yeah. And I used to need all that to get my ass out of bed. Now, when the first lights go on, I'm like, I'm good. Let's go crush the day. But there is an initial time period right when I open my eyes where it's like, bitch, I don't want to do anything. I hate my life. But now, like, instantly, I'm like, let's go. Don't think, get up, hop into a cold shower. And once I'm, up and going, then I'm good. So, and now I don't need that full 4 hours, to set my vibe right. It's usually within 30 minutes, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's fucking crush it today, So, but the morning process was huge for me. I would say, a process to build. You need systems the opposite side of your weaknesses, and that was a system that I needed. My weakness was that I'm a bitch. My process was I got a process that builds the frequencies and builds my vibration to bring the right vibe, build myself up so I can be a better self for me the rest of the day. That was huge. Next, going into the workout, and this is part of that process. Working out every single morning. When you wake up, you just got to stack wins all day. If you feel like a loser, start stacking wins until you feel like a winner. And little stuff. I have so many processes. I like the Numbers app on Apple because I can make checklists on there. So I had to make daily checklists of things that I'm doing. And every little check I put on there is a win. So I got this from Ed Milet, and I dove into this more as I got more solid with my program. But I split my day up into 3 different days, right? 6-hour blocks. And I have certain tasks I need to complete within these 6-hour blocks. And those are, every time I check something out, that's a win. So it's win over time. And it's stacking wins throughout the day. And then I end my day like, man, I did okay today. And it took me a while to feel like, man, I feel good now. But I feel like such a loser for so long. But now I'm just stacking wins for you. I'm like, let's fucking keep killing it, So
yes,
that's something I added. But the morning workout is part of that, stacking the wins, because you get in the gym, you start crushing PRs, you're doing stuff you've never done before physically. You just feel good. You can't not feel good for doing that, right? So never missing a workout was something I added to. That's huge. And plus, like, I look in the mirror now and be like, fuck yeah, I get to walk around in that body.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be cocky, but I worked hard for this, right? And I'm confident with myself because I feel like I look good. Yeah. So that was huge for me. Hitting the macros too. That's also huge because not only, I'm burning fat, building muscle. I have more sustained energy throughout the day, right? My mind is more clear because I'm not filling my body with garbage. There's just so many positives to that, right? So that was something I added also. And the list can go on, dude. That's
great. I love that. I think some of the stuff is people need to hear. I mean, man, I'm trying to think back to like where would I want to go with this? That wake up time, I love that morning wake up. I used to be like a 9 o'clock kind of guy.
Same.
But I wake up, I'm like ready to go. I don't like sleeping in. Like I feel like I'm wasting. I've always been like that. Something's wrong in my brain. I don't understand. I never had that problem, but I didn't like waking up early. Then I started transitioning to waking up earlier and earlier. Having a kid really helps, if you guys know what I mean out there that have children. But now 5:30, I'm up. No alarm clock. Like once you get that, like you were saying earlier, once you get that kind of going, it just happens. It's like natural. I'm tired at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I'm up 5:30. No thing. But it's that, like you're saying, that peace in that morning. Nobody's awake. Most of the world is still fucking sleeping. Everybody, especially now, it's getting a little cold out. Everybody's under their blankets. Everybody's having, you fuckers are under your blankets. I'm out. I'm going already. There's an advantage to that, You don't got to be a 4 o'clock guy like Tamerus. You don't got to be a 5:30 guy like me. But I would challenge you, whatever you wake up now, wake up an hour earlier. Run that in your life. If you think you ain't got time for shit, guess what? You wake up an hour earlier, you're going to have time for shit.
Totally.
And like Tamerus is saying too, a lot of people, I don't do this. I hear it. Thankfully, nobody in my house does it. You wake up in the morning, you reach over and you grab your fucking phone. Let's stop that. Let's try at least 30 to 60 minutes from when you wake up. Don't touch your phone.
If
somebody's dead, They're already dead. You're not going to, the text message is not going to help. Okay. It's not a big deal. So just try that and have that. You have that 1 hour, 30 minutes in the morning with no distractions. Do your thing. You're going to be able to do these things you want to do. Go get your ass out. Just go for a walk, 10 fucking minutes. If you don't do that stuff and you start doing it, that's a big difference in your life. Or hit a workout, whatever, next step you need to do. Those are the things you're saying, I don't got time for. Hey, maybe you wake up an hour earlier. Now you got time to meditate. 10, 15, 5 minutes, 1 minute, whatever it is you need to do. This is powerful shit like Tamerus is talking about. I'm trying to think of one of the other things you hit on, but like just those two things, try wake up an hour earlier and try not to touch your phone for 30 to 60 minutes. I promise you're not going to miss anything. Unless you're an ER doctor, maybe, whatever, but stop. Don't make excuses in your head about why I'm wrong and why you got to check your phone. I guarantee it's bullshit. Those two things, they're going to change your life. They're really going to change your life. I like that.
Bro, every morning, I love this book right here, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class.
Yeah.
It's like one topic a day, right? So for me, like my mind was such a bitch in the morning, so I needed to build a strength on the opposite side of that, right? So I start working on myself and build my vibrations with that. So this is my morning routine when it comes to my posts on my stories. I got this from Wes, but it helped me immensely because one of the things that he has me do is post a positive quote. Well, if I'm negative, I got to start thinking positive every single morning to come up with something good to put that everyone else is going to see, right? So that forces me to put thought into positivity. So that, right away, within 30 minutes, I'm already thinking of like, okay, what's something positive to put out there, right? So that was huge. And then from there, I needed so much work on myself. And that there's times where like I wouldn't be doing that properly throughout my day. But now with this book, I just pick a topic a day and I'm going in order. And then I make my video post on that on my phone, right? So now I got to like really put solid thought into this and then speak on camera on this topic, right? So now I'm like really reflecting. I read the post, so I'm reading something positive in the morning or the page. And then from there, the video gets me thinking like and reflecting like, what did this mean to me in my life? What have I gone through like relates to this post? And then how can I convey this in a way that makes sense to other people and helps them with what they're going through? And that within like I get that done within an hour and a half, I think, of being awake. So that just like kickstarts my mind in the right direction every single morning. So that was huge for me too.
Yeah, he's got some great posts, guys. Check out his IG. He shares the pages from that book. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I like to pop in and once in a while and look at what you got posted in there. That goes back to this thing. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Robert Greene and stuff. He talks about this idea of alive ideas and dead ideas. So a dead idea is just something like a quote or a thing you read and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And you don't put any thought into it. You don't internalize it. You don't have any reference. You don't think about it. But an alive idea is something like you're saying, you read that and you go, oh, is that true? How do I feel about this? And you start formulating your own things. And this is how you think. This is how you do these things. That's a great thing. Listen, guys, books, these are the cheapest fucking cheat codes to life. $20 less, $30. Fuck, get a Kindle, get the Kindle up on your phone, 99 cents free. Google's got free books, Amazon. Listen, these things you guys should be investing in. It doesn't got to be crazy. You don't got to go out and read fucking War and Peace or whatever. But a book simple like Tamerus has, they got these daily things. I got some bunch of daily books around where you just open it up to a page. It's fucking November 10th. You just boom, that's today's thing. If you guys are interested, I'll link to some of these daily reads like this. These things, like Tamerus is saying, they set your mind off in the correct direction. They set you, we were talking about earlier, getting your brain tuned to these different frequencies in the world, get you aligned with different thoughts, get different patterns. We need different thinking. You have different ideas. There's a lot of power to that. I love that, Tamerus. Totally,
yeah. And some of these topics, man, I'll read them and like someone like, all right, that's cool. I still have a long way to go with that, but I can see like the direction I'm going now. Some of them is like, man, I've come so far with this topic, and like I wouldn't have thought about that unless I read that day. I was like, man, it helps me really reflect on how far I've come. And I went all the way through the book. Yeah, I love this. Like, I'm just now realizing this. I love this because I've gone through the book once and I just restarted it. Right. So now I'm doing the videos again. It's 177 days. It's pretty much 6 months, right? It's half a year. So now I'm going through this book again 6 months later, and I'll make my video and then I'll relate it to the video I made 6 months ago. I'm like, I get so excited of how far I've come. So it's almost like a little video journal or documentary that I'm making for myself. So
yes. I know I love that. You look back in your journal, and you're like, oh shit, what did I think about on this topic a year ago? And you're like, oh, shit, like where was I thinking about? Where was I at? That's I love that, dude. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't even
I'll link to that book for you guys if you're interested in it.
Cool. I didn't do that purposely. It just kind of happened out that way. I'm like, dude, this is so huge for me. So yeah.
Look back at your journals, folks. Look back at the things you write, whether it's like Tamerus does these video logs, whether it's an actual journal, and reread books. That's a thing. I think people they want to fill these shells. They want to impress people with a reading list. The power comes in, like Bruce Lee said, it's not, I don't fear the guy that knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the guy that knows one kick he's practiced 10,000 times. Reread books, reread these things, go back and rewatch these things. I love that, dude. That's super powerful.
Cool. Yep.
You in the fitness, health industry and whatnot or whatever, what are 2 or 3 of the most overlooked or dismissed things you see in that industry? In your
macros, dude. Macros, everyone. Macros are the secret. It's man, everyone wants to fight it. It's just science, the way the body works. Like you're literally putting food into your body at certain ratios that's going to either get you towards your goals or get you further away from your goals. And that's it. It's just the way it is. And when you accept that and you start following the right plan that has you burning muscle or burning fat and building muscle, that's what's going to happen, right? But if you don't follow that and you eat whatever you want, who knows what your body, I know what your body's going to end up like, but you probably don't know because you just don't believe it. That's like one of the most overlooked things, I would say. That and mobility training. Dude, I slept on that for a long time, man. I want to say I come from the old school kind of, I'm about 10 years older than you. Man, stretching, that wasn't for dudes. Yeah. You know, when I played football and that stuff, man, you just like, okay, all right, let's go. Let's warm up. You know, it was like the most bullshit thing ever. Yeah. I mean, I remember when, must have been high school, maybe out of high school. We used to be like, we used to like brag about how we couldn't touch our shoulders. Look how jacked I am. I can't even touch my shoulder, dude. Like, you know. I remember I had those days too, bro. After a solid arm day, there was days I couldn't touch my neck. Yeah. Shower. I was like, oh man. Yes.
Don't sleep on mobility, people. Man, especially as you start getting older. I think I'm 44 now. Don't ask me, I don't know. But you start, the joints get a little, if you're not tight, the joints get tight, and we sit a lot. Like right now, I'm standing up on my standing desk. These things, most people can't get up off the ground without assistance. Most people, you can't get off of a chair without having to push yourself and hold yourself. Like when I learned those things, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna use my hands when I stand up. I'm not gonna use my hands when I get out of a chair. I'm not gonna use my hands when I sit down. Like try to sit down, like just stand up and just sit down on the ground without using your hands. Most people fall on their fucking ass, you know? But as you start to get older and older and older, look at your parents, look at your grandparents, your aunties, uncles, whoever it is. Look around the older population. They can't move because I think we really slept on this mobility thing for way too long. Get into yoga, get into these things. There's lots of cool mobility stuff. Tamerus will kick your ass. I see him do it all the time on these trainings. You know, you can have, you know, it's fun. I've been doing is I just got shit in my living room. And, you know, I got this little balance board. I got some slack box. You're just fucking around in your living room. You're watching TV. You're watching the game. You're just standing around. You're just fucking around. You're on the phone or something like that. Take phone calls. Stand up. Walk around. Like, dude, my grandma, she had her knee replaced, and you know, and I was like, I told her, I was like, you just need exercise. You need to just do these things. And she's like, oh, I can't. And I'm like, that's the kind of catch-22 of it. You can't move and you can't exercise, and you're sore because you can't exercise and you can't move. You got to start just walking, standing up. That's something we got to stop sleeping on.
I agree. You know what changed the game for me? When I was like 18, probably 16. No, I played hockey growing up, and when I was 16, I went up an age group. I was a big kid on the rink, and all of a sudden now I'm a little guy on the rink getting tossed around. That's why I was like, I got to put on some size here. So I started weightlifting, didn't know what I was doing. My dad had a weight set in the garage. I just started using it, just pushing up weight. Form was horrible. You know, I probably did more damage than good at the time, you know, but I put on muscle. And then around 18, I'm started like really getting the hang of things, at least working out wise. I'm building muscle at the time. Ego lifting, right? So, gosh, I was so many injuries. Anyway, long story short is I get to around like 22-ish. I'm pretty built at this time, but I go to a free running gym, Tempest Free Running Academy in Northridge, California. And there's kids half my size doing stuff I physically couldn't do. I'm like, dude, why do I even have these muscles? Like, what's the point? So I quit weightlifting at that point. Right then and there, I quit weightlifting for like 6 years. All I did was movement-based fitness. So I did parkour and free running first, And then I got into calisthenics after that and Ninja Warrior style training. And then I did those for like a solid 6 years. And then that was like 23-ish, 24-ish up until I was 30. And then like 29, probably like 29, I started picking up weightlifting again. And then into my 30s, I got more into weightlifting again too. So, but now I have the mobility and the strength. So it's pretty cool. But even back then, like I was stronger than I was when I just weightlifted, when I just did mobility training. So I was stronger and more functional, and I could do cool shit. That was like the coolest part. The skills that came with it. So
that's something that I really learned to appreciate through acro, realizing how inflexible I was and how weak I was in these weird ranges of motion. Like I never in my life thought I needed strong wrists. Who would think you need strong wrists?
Right.
But I'm like, I got some decent forearms, you know? And I was like, I can lift people up. I go, whatever. And then you get on, I'm like, oh my God, my wrists are going to explode, you know?
Right. We got to pick up a human on one hand.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy. Yes. And there's studies and stuff like that can predict longevity and stuff like that about based on your grip strength. Just being able to hang and whatnot and stuff like that. If you're in a kitchen, you can't open a jar. That's like a silent marker of poor health. So if you are one of those people that you're in there, you can't open a jar. Listen, let's get into some of these things. It's not hard to get a light kettlebell, do these light body weight movements. There's lots of things to do. Hanging, working on your hanging, which increases your Grink strip and stuff like that. And not to mention, I want to say I've probably lengthened out 1.5 2 inches maybe. When I first put my pull-up bar up in my garage, I could barely put my toes on the ground. Now my whole foot's on the ground.
Oh, cool.
So it's like interesting how these different things, happen. But these little things, as you get older and you get into, I'm not that very old, but when you get into my age, you start to these old injuries creep up. These things, think about your parents or whatever, and you can't open jars and stuff like that or whatever. These different things. And like I said, acro, it's a fun way to get and develop some of this stuff. Develop the hamstring flexibility, develop the hip mobility, develop the shoulder mobility. Like I said, strong wrists. They're a fun thing when you get them. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Yep. Strength of skill is so much fun. Yeah. I definitely agree with all that. Yep. But going back to the overlooked things of fitness, for sure the macros, right? Yeah. That makes the difference. And then from there, it's following the right training program with the right intensity. And then consistency and time in the game. So many people, what I hear so much in the gym, I'm just getting back into things. That is the hardest phase. Why do that to yourself? I hear people say that so much. I'm like, dude, getting back into it is the hardest time. Once you get into it and you get going and then you're consistent over time, it gets easy. It snowballs and you start to really enjoy the process that you're going through. But getting into it sucks. That's why I don't miss. I don't want to get back into it. I'm never going to fall off. I'm always into it, right? So that's how I view it. But yeah, when you hit your macros and you're working out with the right intensity every single day, and I don't kill it every single day, right? I work out every day, never miss, and that's for the mental, but I don't destroy myself every single day. I go in ways of intensity to allow my body to recover. But when you have the right program that you're following with the right intensity, and then you're consistent when time in the game over time, you're going to see the results that you want. And the longevity in the body, of course, that's the main goal, right? You don't want to get old and not be able to move. You don't want to feel bad over time, right? And that's what's going to happen if we're not moving on the daily. So
yeah, that's one thing I thought in my genius 20s. I was like, I've lifted more weights than most people ever will. I can't possibly get fat. I'm tired. I don't feel like lifting anymore. I was probably in my mid-20s. I'm like, I'm not playing sports anymore. I'm not doing anything anymore. I was like, I can't get fat. I'm too fit. Boy, that's wrong. Let me tell you guys, right now, it's just wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not fun to start again.
Yep. Yeah. It creeps up on you too over time.
Yes.
Like all of a sudden you look yourself in the mirror, like, holy crap, where did all this come from? But it's been like slowly building over time,
Yes. Yeah. I came back from vacation in, I think it was 2019. And I was like, man, I'm fucking fat. And I was like, I didn't realize it, but I was buying a shirt or buying a shorts or something like that. And I was like, I put on the extra large and I was like, whoa.
A little tight than it used to be, huh?
And listen, fat boy, I was like, I'm not buying a 2X. I was like, fuck this. I left the store. I said, hell no. And then I was like, I can't not do this anymore. So yeah, don't start again, folks. If you've already stopped, get back on the train as fast as possible, even if it's just light things we talked about, walking, body weight stuff. There's so many things out there. There's guys like Tamerus. There is Tamerus. There's videos. There's so much things, all that stuff.
Yeah, just something every day, just a little bit, and you start where you're at. Everyone starts somewhere. Never be discouraged of where you're starting. Everyone starts somewhere. You just take that starting point and you just go. You just go consistently. And all of a sudden, 2 months later, you see how far you come in that 2 months. And it may not be very far, or it could be. Just kind of depends on, who you are. But all of a sudden, 3 to 4 months later, 6 months later, and especially a year later, when you look back and you've been consistent for a year, like really consistent, putting in the work for a year, there's no way you're not going to see results.
Yeah.
I thought I was in such good shape a year ago. And now, like looking at myself from the year I put in from then to now, I'm like, holy crap, I have come a long way. I've almost come further than I have in the previous 5 to 10 years, right? So, but that's consistency of time in the game and never missing. And that's the power of never missing right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And it's funny because when I watch you at Acro, I think back to myself when I first started Acro, and I'm like, you're big, and you're strong, and it's just funny because I see you and I'm like, oh, Tamerus, I know it. It's not strength, buddy. It's not strength. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it so soon. And
it's huge.
It's fun. It's fun to watch. It's good. What is some of the common coaching struggles you face, whether it's you as a coach or you coaching your clients, or maybe a mixture of the two?
Yeah. So what I figured out as an in-person personal trainer, people do not see the results with in-person personal training, right? Because what they do is they see you maybe once or twice a week, and who knows what they do outside of that. Actually, I do know, because they never change. What you're battling is people's habits and discipline. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I like my coaching program. I'll go back to that. I'll hop into that in a second. Because you need a more structured program that people need to follow more than that 1 to 2 times that they see you week. 3 tops, and that's super rare, right? What I love about my coaching program is I got an app where I have a full workout program that people can follow. So it has videos and everything too. So now they get whatever their availability. I recommend that they work out at least 4 to 5 times a week on the minimum, but I'll make them programs like 5, 6, 7 days a week that they can follow. And they have a full workout program. They check into their app. They see what they're doing daily, right? So now they're consistent with their workouts every single day, and they know what they're doing. That's huge. Consistency with the right workout program. I just make sure that they know the intensity and they're good to go on the workouts. From there, you got to know nutrition. And that comes down to the macros. And this is my program too. I'm really good at looking at someone, seeing where they're starting at and what their goals are and everything. I can figure out someone's macros. I can get them real shredded, right? They follow my macro program, So I'll get them on the macros, but that's the easy stuff. It's just like I plug that in. I got the programs. I know what people need to do for the workouts. I know what people need to do for the macros. Now I got to overcome their discipline. I got to overcome their vices. I got to overcome the other distractions that are going to pull them away from fitness. I got to overcome the confidence that they may not have with themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's the hard part, because you're literally stepping into a new version of yourself when it comes to that. A lot of the people, they've never worked out before. They've never been consistent with anything in their life, right? So how are they going to expect to be consistent with working out? And that's what the mindset portion of my program comes in, right? So if I can help these people become consistent, if I can help them build confidence in themselves, if I can get them to step to the gym door on a daily basis, that's huge, And then from there, battling foods. If I can get these people to eliminate all the sources of instant gratification with their foods, they start following the macro program. That's when we really start seeing results. So the biggest hurdle is not the workouts, it's not the macros, it's the habits and I guess the version of self that they are at that current point in time, and helping them transition to a whole new version of themselves. And that's why I love my coaching program, because that's what it's about. It's not just fitness. It's not just nutrition. It's the mindset and the person that you're becoming as an overall within the program. And you just don't get that with in-person personal training, Yeah, you get form, which is great. You get form because everyone needs to have proper form. I really think form is important. You get encouragement and accountability, right? That's what you get from the in-person personal trainer. But there needs to be so much more, especially when someone who has never been fit in their life before, you're creating a new version of self, right? And that needs more attentive, structure and discipline when it comes to that. And that's what my program's about. So overcoming that was like the biggest hurdle, I would say.
What's your thoughts on cheat days, cheat meals?
I don't call them cheat, cheat days, no, don't do a full cheat day, man. You go off the wagon with that. You know what I mean? Achievement. So what's cool about macros is technically anything is fine as long as it fits your numbers, right? So any food is fine as long as it fits your numbers. You just got to pay attention to what foods make you feel what ways, right? So how I train my clients is, let's say they're going to go out to dinner or have a celebration or whatever. The holidays are coming up. You can enjoy it. Go ahead and enjoy it. But I train them in a way where they're able to eat the rest of the day a certain way, super lean, right? Or like, and then they can go off and have their cheat meal, whatever, and then not worry because they're not going completely overboard on all their macros throughout the whole day. And it's all about building the right habits and the right mindset of things. And also about the way they make you feel, you know, because if you eat foods that make you feel like shit, you're going to feel like shit. And you start, once you feel good for so long, and you eat those foods and feel like shit again, it's like, is that really even worth it? You know? So, that's how I view it. But I would never have someone do a full cheat day, right? Because that negates all your progress. You know, it's 3,500 calories and 1 pound of fat. You know, if you go like off the bandwagon, you have 7,000 calories in one day. Now you're negated all the work you did for the whole week, you know? So
it's not hard to do, guys. I mean, go to Costco and get like a cheese pizza. It's like 4,000 calories. I can fucking wipe that out.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So easy.
Yep.
You know, where's a good place for people to connect with you on this stuff, Tamerus?
Instagram.
Okay, I'll link for that, you guys, in the show notes. Don't worry about it if you're driving or whatever. I'll link to Tamerus's Instagram, and everybody can just jump in the DM or whatever, and then hit you up, and you can talk to them about whatever coaching and stuff.
Yep, I put it all out there. I put my life on Instagram, what I'm about, how I, the journey I'm going through, my coaching program. It's all on my Instagram, and I respond to all my DMs. So
that's perfect. Like I said, guys, I'll link to that. Tamerus, on the social community show, we like to do a weekly challenge to help our listeners implement, an idea or concept for this episode. Maybe something not at all we even talked about. What I'd like to do is I'd like to issue you the opportunity to challenge the listeners and the viewers out there for something that they could do for a week.
Do for a week. What I would say, and this is what like really changed the game for me. Whether you take out a notebook, take out a notebook and write this down. Just the vision that you would have of the person that you admire in every single way, right? So just take the time, 15, 20 minutes or an hour. I always spend a lot of time into this and write down that perfect vision, a 10.0 version of yourself when it comes to the way you act, who you are, the way you look, the life you're living, the relationships you have, how you are with your, on your spiritual. I got an acronym that I go off of is A PRISM. So it's ambition, physical, residual, which is like your money, right? And then intellectual, spiritual, and mental. So those are the four, the 6 categories that I go into. But maybe just create something, the categories of your life that you want to have that 10.0 version of yourself, and write it down. And then have 2 lists. Anything that's gonna pull you away from that version of yourself, write all that down. And everything that's gonna excel you towards that version of yourself, write all that down too. And now we'll just start attacking those lists throughout the week.
Sweet. Could you share a quick version of what that looks like for you?
Yeah. So physical is easy to start with. Jacked as fuck, mobile, good at all the acro and stuff too. Like, I just want to be jacked. I want to put on some more size, right? So I have this vision of how I want to look, the physical skills that I want to have. That's on my list, right? Finances have been a huge struggle in my life, and I'm going to overcome that shit, and I'm going to build wealth. So the best version of myself, he's amazing with his finances. He's built the wealth. He's overcome his struggles, right? So intellectual, that's like the stuff that you need to know to get what you need to get done for your goals, right? So for me to hit my financial goals, that's going to take some intellect. That's going to take systems or skills or like the right know-how to do so. So a knowledgeable person, a knowledgeable version of myself, that's the intellect. Spiritual, just 100% connected with God. Like, his purpose for me, I get it. We're on the path. Me and him, we're like best friends. But anything he says to do, I'm going to do it because I trust in him. That's like my spiritual. The mental is not being a fucking bitch. Overcoming anything that makes me that inner bitch, 100% in control of that, right? But on top of that, I don't want to be someone that's weak to my vices. I want to be super strong to my, overcoming anything that's like a need or instant gratification. The 100%, just the man that I'm meant to be. I just went off on a rant. I don't know that makes sense to throw all that into. It's kind of jumbled, but does that make sense at all?
No, yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to give a little framework on how you think about it and how you do it, so people can get an idea. Sometimes we need a little prompting to do something like that, especially something hard like that, something very introspective. I think it's helpful, a little jumping off point. That's great. What a great challenge, folks.
If you wanted something more simple, I'd say hit your macros.
No, we don't want that simple, man. We want to fucking challenge yourself. We got to conquer the inner bitch.
That's right.
I love it.
Build that 10.0 version of yourself this week.
Hell yes. Hell yeah.
Or at least plan it.
Something earlier you talked about, and then you also reiterated in your vision is money. What is some things that either change your mind, change your habits? What was going on? Like, where are you at with that philosophy now?
Yeah. So money, dude, again, it came down to eliminating needs. Really, I was just buying shit I didn't need. Right. I was just thought I needed these things to be happy or like just be fulfilled in life, or like just thought I needed it for some reason, or like food. I was spending so much money on going out and eating out. Right.
Yeah.
So what changed the game for me was dialing in my expenses. So I eliminated I cut the fat on everything on my expenses, right? So my food, I probably spend like, I can get away with spending $60 a week on food. And I'm like, good. Yeah. And I hit my macros and good. If I want to enjoy myself a little bit, have a little more, I guess, more expensive. I go to Costco. I spend like, my average is around 60 to $80 a week on food.
That's right? Good. Yeah.
And if I really needed to, I can get down to like 50 to 60 and like I would make it be fine and hit all my macros. So that was huge. Cutting the expenses. Anything that's not a need for a necessity of life, I had to cut all those expenses. Right. So now like I got my spending on track. But I'm sorry, dude. I totally spelled. What was your initial question?
No, I just want to know what your philosophy and the things that you've done and changed around money. And you talked about it several times. You talked about it as part of this. I just want to know, what you've changed, what you've added, how you think about that now. What's your thoughts on that?
Money's got to serve a purpose, right? You can't just be spending, uselessly. So all my money, all my spending serves a purpose. I tithe every week, and that was huge for me too, because when I was broke as fuck, and now I'm giving more money away that I thought I needed, right? So that was huge. So tithing was huge for me, which that I really feel that changed the game for me, because it got me in a state of like understanding I had more than I actually thought I had, right? So now I'm more grateful for everything that I do have. So anyway, yeah. So cutting all the fat, cutting all the extra expenses, and then from there, just making sure that you store the money and it all serves a purpose, whatever your purpose is, right? So that's my philosophy on money. And then once you get ahead, I'm not gonna do any stupid spending or like lifestyle spurging. I will get into a lifestyle because I feel I deserve to live a good life and like enjoy the finer things out there, right? But once I get to that point, and there is I do have like a standard of income to be able to start spending on that, then I will. I had a huge shift in my income recently, and it's awesome. But like I got really dialed in with how I do my spending. So I really do like 35% goes to my business, 35% goes to me, 10% goes to my savings, 10% goes to my business saving, and then 10% goes to God. It's always God first, right? I did that pass out of order, but God first, 10 to savings, 10 to business savings, 35% to my business, 35% to me. And then I live off that 35%.
That's beautiful. I love that. And yeah, people listen. I hear a lot of times like, well, I'll give when I have more. Listen, if you can't give 10 cents out of $1, you're not going to give more when you have more.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be extravagant. I know a lot of times times are hard for people. The economy is shifting all the time. Things are going which ways and whatever. But if I have this, I don't know, philosophy, thought about it, whatever. If you can't give it, it can't come back to you. So you've got to let it go out so it can come back in. It's reciprocal. Money, to me, money is reciprocal like that. And it makes you feel good. Even if you're doing it just for yourself, it feels good to throw $1 or $5 at somebody and be like, hey, fuck, man, times are hard. Especially if you know what hard times are like, it's nice to give back. It's nice to do those things. And then that's the thing I like what you said too. I think it kind of dispels a little bit of a myth that you're saying how little you spend on money. I mean, I'm sorry, on money. How little you spend on food. I feel like it's actually cheaper to eat well.
Yeah, 100% is. 100%.
It's so much cheaper.
Yeah. I don't eat out anymore.
Yes. Yeah. Not eating out. I just came off a vacation a little bit ago. I mean, I have, my family and then I have my brother's kids with us. Went to McDonald's. $100. It was like 110. I was like, oh my. I was like, we could have steaks.
Yeah, exactly. For what, right?
Stupid.
Dang, that's a week and a half of food at Costco.
I know. I was like, I could have bought a whole rack of ribeyes at Costco, and we just slice it up and throw it on the barbecue grill. I was like, this is bogus. I don't eat like that at home. So it blew my mind. I was like, oh my! I had like 6 people with me. It was a lot, but still, I'm like, Jesus, this is ridiculous. Yeah. I noticed that when I stopped buying dumb shit, at the store, Costco, whatever. I'm like, I spend a lot of less money, and I mainly eat carnivore-ish, fruits, meat. That's pretty much about what I eat. And it's like, people are like, oh, that's expensive. No, it's actually not. I spend a lot less money than I used to. It's really, it's really, and you're fuller longer. So I think that plays into the part of it. You're not craving, you're not snacking on stuff. Those things add up a lot. Like drinks too. Like I like drinks for some stupid reason. One month I was looking at my expenses. I was like, I spent a lot of dumb money on beverages. I need to stop this.
So, yeah, that's what did it for me. When I started getting serious about my finances, I started tallying up on my spending. And I thought I was like doing pretty good at this point. And once I saw what I was spending, I was like, holy crap, I'm wasting so much money on just stuff I didn't need. So yeah, I get you.
Heck yeah. Well, Tamerus, you're an amazing acro friend. You're an amazing person. You're great. I love sharing your story. I love everything you're doing. Keep inspiring everybody. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep putting out great vibes in this world. This is a great podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, dude. This was an awesome experience for me too. I love this. So yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right. Again, Tamerus, thank you so much, man. Wow. So many things. Like I said, I'll link to stuff in the show notes, the different books, the different resources, all the different things we talked about, the book Tamerus talked about. If you want to get in touch with Tamerus for whatever reason, coaching, whatever it is, I'll link to his Instagram and all these different things. And like I said in the preamble, like I said throughout the episode, listen, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Wherever you are, whether it's overweight, whether it's depressed, whether it is, I know this stuff isn't easy. It's not simple, but it can be done. It just starts with a little action, a little today. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, and take a little step every day, 1% better. If you've listened to the show enough, we talked about this 1% better, getting 1% better every single day or every week or every month, just little at a time, like we talked about in the episode. If this is something you got value from and you liked it, please share it with 2 other people. You can connect with us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe, check out the YouTube channel, check out your favorite podcast app. For past episodes and links to everything we discussed here and on other episodes, head over to thesocialchameleon.show. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and transforming into the person you want to become.